Welcome back, guys. This is my my fifth flashcard video. Start with one of my favorite topics. Kind of gets a bad rep, jailbreaking. It exploits that allow users to obtain root privileges, sideload apps, change or add carriers, and customize the interface. Basically, you can get logged into a cell plan, or you can only use certain SIM cards with certain phones. Well, there's ways you can modify, especially with Androids. It's awesome. You can modify them and make it so you can use different carriers on that phone, like add their SIMs to it. Carrier unlocking. The process of removing the restrictions that lock a device to a single network provider. Cloud computing. An environment where software, like software as a service and platform as a service, or computer network resources are provided to an end user who has no knowledge of or responsibility for how the service is provided. These services provide elasticity of resources and pay-per-use charging models. Access range can be public, hosted private, or private. Non-essential services. A principle of computer security saying that only software and protocols that are needed should be run. On many operating systems, this means disabling or uninstalling applications following a default installation. Also, software should be secured so that they can be used only by authorized accounts. Basically, why have more stuff on your computer that you actually are going to use? Because that just means there's more vulnerabilities for people to get in or access zero-day attacks, stuff like that. Virtualization technology. Software allowing a single computer, as the host, to run multiple guest operating systems. The guest systems are configured via hypervisor. VM is a virtual machine. Say multiple operating systems installed on a single host PC using virtualization software, hypervisor like we just said before, such as Microsoft Hyper-V or VMware. Type 2 hypervisor. A host-based hypervisor that is itself installed onto a host operating system. Type 1 hypervisor is a bare metal hypervisor installed directly onto the computer and manages access to the host hardware without going through a host operating system. VM escaping. The process of malware running on a guest operating system jumping to another guest or to the host itself. That'd be bad. VDI is a virtual desktop infrastructure. The process of running a desktop inside a virtual machine on a server. Application virtualization. A more limited type of VDI where the client either accesses a particular application hosted on a server or streams the application from the server to the client for local processing. Container virtualization. Operating system defined isolated containers for each user instance to run in. This means separating resources at the operating system level. Virtual machine sprawl. The uncontrolled deployment of more and more virtual machines. This can be due to rogue VMs installing unauthorized VMs. That's bad. Rapid elasticity. The quick scaling of a cloud to meet peak resource demand. Resource pooling. This allows cloud provider provision more system or network resources using management software rather than, for example, going into the data center, unplugging a server, and adding additional memory. This means the hardware making the cloud provider's data center is not dedicated or reserved to a particular customer account, so resources can be applied to various instances as needed. Public cloud. A cloud deployment model hosted by a third party and shared with many subscribers as a shared resource, sometimes called a multi-tenant cloud. Hosted private cloud. A cloud deployment model hosted by a third party is used exclusively by an organization. This has higher security and performance. Private cloud. A cloud deployment model where the infrastructure is completely private and owned by an organization. As a service. A general term for the variety of cloud-based services such as infrastructure, platform, or software. Infrastructure as a service. This cloud-based service is a means of provisioning IT resources such as servers, load balancers, and storage area network components quickly. Software as a service. This cloud-based service allows an organization to access applications hosted on a supplier's server on as a pay-as-you-go basis. Platform as a service. This cloud-based service provides resources somewhere between SaaS and IaaS, and would involve providing storage, network infrastructure, web application, and database platforms as well. CIS is a Center for Internet Security. A non-profit organization founded partly by SANS publishes this well-known top 20 critical security controls or system design recommendations. COBIT is a controlled objectives for information and related technologies. An IT governance framework with security as a core component. This framework is published by the ISACA and is a commercial product available through APMG International. CVE, Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures. A scheme for identifying vulnerabilities developed by the MITRE and adopted by NIST. False positive and false negatives. An error in monitoring or identification technology that either reports an event as an incident when it is not or does not report an event as an incident. ISO, International Organization for Standardization. This organization develops many frameworks governing the use of computers, networks, and telecommunications, including one for informative security. Layered security defense in depth. Configuring security controls on host endpoints as well as providing network parameters, security, physical security, and administrative controls. Metasploit. One of the best known exploitation frameworks for launching materialized attacks against known software vulnerabilities. This framework comprises a database of exploit code, each targeting a particular common vulnerability and exposure. The exploit code can be coupled with modular payloads. It is owned by Rapid7. Nessus. One of the best known commercial vulnerability scanners, produced by Tenable Network Security. Oval, online vulnerability and assessment language. It's an XML schema for describing system security state and acquiring vulnerability reports and information. OWASP, Open Web Application Security Project. A charity and community publishing a number of secure application development resources. PCI DSS is a payment card industry data security standard, an information security standard for organizations that process credit card payments. Penetration testing. White hat hacking to try to discover and exploit any weaknesses in network security. We'll talk about that later. White hat hacker is a good hacker. They're actually paid by organizations to look at their own stuff. Whereas a black hat is usually more malicious. It's someone who's the company's not telling to do things. And then I'll go into different kinds of testing, like white box testing, gray box testing, black box testing. We'll see that later on. Privilege escalation. Exploiting a bug in software such as buffer overflow to gain elevated privileges either within an application or operating system for a malicious process. For example, an exploitable buffer overflow on a web browser software might allow a virus, rootkit, or Trojan to run with the system privileges rather than the privileges of the logged on user. SANS Institute is a system admin, network, and security. A company specializing in cybersecurity and secure web application development training and sponsors the Global Information Assurance Certification. SCAP is Security Content Automation Protocol. Allows compatible scanners to determine whether a computer meets a particular configuration baseline for the NIST's database. Security control. A technology or procedure put in place to mitigate vulnerabilities and risk and ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability CIA, of information. Types of this include classifications like technical, environmental, operational, and management. System scanning. Tools that analyze systems and look for security issues. These include penetration testing or ethical hacking and are vital to ensure the security of a computer system and network. These are many types of these tools, notably antivirus and intrusion detection software. Vulnerability scanner. Software configured with a list of known exploits and can scan for their presence in a host's operating system or a particular application. Exploitation framework. A means of running intrusive pen tests, as a penetration test, comprised of a database of code, each targeting a particular common vulnerability and exposures. Credentialed scan. A vulnerability scan that is given to a user account with logon rights to various hosts, plus other permissions, providing a more in-depth analysis. Kind of like, okay, cool, let's see if a normal user account on this company's network, if they have normal access privileges as a normal user, let's see what kind of damage they can do. And that way we can fix those damages. Non-credentialed scan. Vulnerability scan that proceeds without being able to log on to the host or having any privileged access. So basically they're just like, here's a computer, we're not giving you any access to it, let's see what you can do to it. Big data. Large stores of unstructured information. Chain of custody. Documentation attached to evidence from a crime scene detailing when, where, and how it was collected, where it has been stored, and who has handled it sequentially to collection. Due process. A term used in U.S. and UK common law to require that people only be convicted of crimes following the fair application of the laws of the land. More generally, this term can be understood in meaning of having a set of procedural safeguards to ensure fairness. This principle is central to forensic investigation. Forensics. The process of submitting computer evidence for trial. Digital evidence is latent, meaning it must be interpreted. This means that great care must be taken to prove that the evidence has not been tampered with or falsified. The key points of collecting evidence are to record every step of the action, to gather appropriate evidence, and beg evidence. To preserve evidence correctly, it should be stored securely. Investigation should be done on a copy of the digital files, not the originals. Each piece of the evidence must be accompanied by a chain of custody form, detailing when, where, and how it was collected, where it has been stored, and who has handled it subsequently to collection. FTK is a forensic toolkit, a commercial digital forensic investigation management and utilities suite, published by Access Data. Imaging. Copying the structure and contents of a physical disk, device, or logical volume to a single file using a tool such as DD. Legislation. In a general sense, enacted laws, some of which may affect organizational security policies. Laws cover many aspects of security policy, but the key concepts are due diligence, demonstrating awareness of security issues, and due care, which is demonstrating response to identified threats. Latent evidence. Evidence that cannot be seen with the naked eye, or rather must be interpreted using a machine or process. Legal hold. The process of formally preserving information that may be relevant to a court case. E-discovery. A means of filtering the relevant evidence produced from all data gathered by a forensic examination and storing it in a database in a format such it can be used as evidence in a trial. Order of volatility. A guideline for acquiring data from storage systems that are most likely to expire first, only then moving to acquire data from the storage systems that are likely to be unaffected by issues such as power loss. UTC, Coordinated Universal Time. A benchmark time, which is essentially the time of the Greenwich meridian. Time offsets based on location are made from this benchmark time. NTP is a network time protocol. The protocol uses to synchronize a computer system's clock to validate time source. In forensics, it is important to determine the time of being used recorded correctly, as it has been tampered with. RNA, retrospective network analysis. A means to record network events at either a packet header or payload level. Counterintelligence, the process of information gathering to protect against espionage and hacking. Image acquisition, the process of obtaining a forensically clean copy of data from a device held as evidence. Write blocker, hardware device or software that prevents any data on a disk or volume from being changed, works by filtering write commands at the driver and operating system level. Tracking man hours, the process of recording the individual and time spent working on an investigation as well as the expense they incur. ESI is electronically stored information, evidence that resides in computers instead of the physical objects. This evidence is mostly latent, as in it can't be seen. Tagging and bagging, method of preserving physical evidence by placing it into sealed bags and ensuring that the bag is labeled and documented. Backup, an additional copy of used recovered data in the case of a problem with the original. backup can be used to perform using